Swoggle, how are you doing, sir?
Sir, I'm very good. Very, very good.
Well, obviously, I know things have been busy for you, both on
Things
a
have been crazy. Yeah.
personal side and professionally. So
Yeah, man.
I'll start with this. Beans, you had you told me last Friday you had a show. How did that go?
I had a show last Friday. It was good. We ACW Wisconsin out of Oshkosh is kind of like it's my second love. Um, it's just taken over kind of. I love it. I love everything about it. I love everything about running the company and the school and this, that, and the other thing. And even during COVID, we're taking all the safety precautions we can to run safe shows, and just put on awesome events.
Well, speaking of that, with COVID and the precautions and everything, what are the precautions going on in your neck of the woods in Wisconsin with everything going on?
Well, for our shows, we are temp checking at the door. We are social distancing seats. We are requiring masks throughout the event by anyone who is not performing in the ring at that time. The minute you get out of the ring and get to the back, you're throwing your mask on, and all fans are masked throughout the whole event. But Wisconsin is they didn't crack down too much in the beginning, but they're a bit better about it now.
Well, that's good, and
Yeah.
that's got to be a little extra headaches for someone like
man,
you.
very, very much so. It's I mean, the world is a crazy place, as everyone keeps saying, but it rings true throughout my life and throughout my real life and career life and all that. It's just a wild time right now.
Exactly, but also, and if folks got questions as usual, feel free to let us know in the chat, and we'll queue you up. Because obviously you guys have made the donations and such, and part of why we're doing this. But I want to ask, because I've seen this recently, and I don't know how
Yeah.
many of the people joining us have. I thought it was hilarious, and I'm sure you got some interesting responses for it, being the AJ Styles parody you did in Impact.
Yeah, man, it really was a fun little thing that we did, and it it all started with a picture from Starcast a couple of years ago, and it grew to doing it on TV, and it's a fun thing that we got to do, and it turned out well.
Well, what was the response from, like, because obviously you had some of AJ's buddies involved with that, but even not them directly involved, what was the response you got from some of the other talent? And did you hear from AJ?
No, I didn't hear from AJ at all. But all the Impact guys, we all enjoyed it. We all had a lot of fun with it. It brought a good laugh to the locker room.
Well, that's good, because in times like this, everybody needs a good laugh.
Yeah.
But I know I just finished rereading your book again.
Thank you.
And of course, I said to you when we first got connected as well, for doing this, that we're going to take some shots at Ian Douglas if we can. And Ian and Ross say hello. But
yeah, they're the best.
Yeah. Ian tried to say he was actually, I was telling Jimmy this when we were chatting. I said, you're going to come on, that Ian was trying to sound like he's smart by studying for his MBA.
I mean, he's a lot more of an adult than I am in that case.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what the hell's, and of course I had to get on him going, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? Trying to sound like an adult.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's awesome. Good for him, though.
Yeah, I said hopefully be worth it in the end and all. And
yeah,
all
100%.
But the rest of the night will be kicking him in the ribs. So
yeah.
But what was that process like for you in terms of putting a book together? Because you're still in it per se and heavy with your career.
Yeah, man. It truly was just that. It was a process, that's for sure. I'm almost 3 years of a process of putting it together, and writes and rewrites and edits and re-edits, but I'm glad we did it, because it put out what I feel is a very spectacular project.
Now, obviously, we're not doing this as a formal interview that we've done in the past, and hopefully we will get you at some point for that.
Yeah,
but as far as putting that book together, because I know and known this before the book, that you are a proud father.
yes.
How much did that factor into putting the book together? As, my God, my son might see this someday or read this someday.
I mean, there was some things that didn't get included, but at that point, or at this point even, I'm an open book to him. He asks me a question, I'm honest with him. I tell him everything. That's just the relationship that the two of us have, and it's just how it's always been, and that's hopefully always how it's always going to be. But there wasn't much that I held back in the book because of him.
Yeah, but I guess that can be a scary process to have. There's a debate there, I guess is the best way to put it. Certain things. But go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, I mean, it is, but also, like I say, it isn't, because I would tell him anyways. So it's good to get it out there.
Well, yeah, that's true. But on a more professional side of things, obviously, there's so much you've done in the short few years you've been involved in the business, which, when I say short, it's been, 12 to 15 years already?
2003, 17 years total.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I was close with the 15. But it seems like there's so much more that you can do. But is there a particular thing you've done? Little People's Court, you had the El Torito and WLC, and there's so many, the AJ thing. There's so many things that come to mind with you. Is there something that sticks out for you that wow, I was surprised I did that?
I'll never do anything better than WLC ever. That'll go down in history as the best thing I've ever done, for sure.
Well, speaking of that, and I'm not familiar with El Torito's career besides that brief period of time there, but how was he to deal with?
He was the best. He was the absolute best, man. He is the best little person wrestler of all time, and I truly believe that. And he made me better, so it was awesome getting to work with him.
Well, speaking of, and I know the business has changed as well with that, but is there many people of your stature and when I say that, I think back to, say, WrestleMania 3, when you had more guys out there performing, like in that mixed tag match, and it seemed like there was a lot more that you can mix and match, where you don't see that today. Is there many guys that you see that stand out currently?
Not really. No, not I don't watch a lot of it, but he always stood up to me.
Well, speaking of that, what is there about El Torito that stands out for you?
He could do anything.
Really?
He literally could do anything. He could do absolutely anything. How he could move, and just his speed, and how effortless he made everything look. It was insane.
Well, obviously we can open this up more, and have said you've done so much over the 17 years. Are you a guy that's particular of having goals that I want to try to do this, I want to try to accomplish this before I'm all said and done as far as performing?
I mean, Japan is my number one. Once if I ever go there, I can be done. Then I can officially retire. But man, I fly by the seat of my pants. I just have fun with everything I do.
Well, speaking of, what is it about Japan that stands out for you? Because you'll hear it's changed, the business has changed, but there's always that allure of Japan.
Um, I think it's just because it's the biggest, international wrestling kind of place ever or in the world. Like that's like heaven. That's international wrestling heaven. And what they always say, like, you made it when you worked the guard and this, that, and that other thing. But I think to me, Japan is up there.
Yeah, because the other person I've heard say that in recent time of your generation would be MVP.
Yep.
So who is it over there? There's New Japan still, but I can't. Where back in the day when Hanson and Brody and all those guys were going over, you'd hear about these two companies. Where now it seems like you've had so many
In Japan.
Yeah, that like it's all like a mishmash, like a big independent scene, alphabet soup, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's just people know how hot wrestling is there, and they know how hot wrestling is, and so they're going to take advantage of it. Same as here.
Okay. Ray, you said you had a question, so go ahead and come on board and let's knock her out. Ray and Dave.
All right, Swoggle, my name is Ray. I'm a WWE fan and
How are you, man?
all around fan. What was the idea coming for like being Vince McMahon's son, that angle when it was started? What was your perspective on that?
I loved it. I found out that afternoon at 3:45 in the afternoon. That was going to be me. It was in my hometown, my wrestling hometown of Green Bay. So it was incredible, and it who would have expected it to kick off me being such a key role in WWE. I would have never expected that for me, and because of that, with that storyline. But it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ray. David,
Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome.
What do you got, buddy?
Hey, Swoggle.
Hey, man, how are you?
Pretty good. This is David. I'm also a WWE fan.
Thank you.
And in your career, how did it feel to be bigger guys?
It was always an interesting match when they put me with essentially anyone, but it was always fun. It was always interesting of how we would make it entertaining and how we would make it work for television. So I loved it each and every time.
And also, I collect wrestling figures.
Yeah, man.
So, I was wondering if I could have a figure of you.
I don't have any of me. I have the ones just in my case. I have one of each of mine, and that's it.
Yeah,
they're hard to come by.
Yeah, David, I'll help you off air trying to see if we can figure that out for that. But thanks for the question. But
Okay,
speaking
thank you,
of,
Jonathan.
no problem, buddy. But speaking of working with bigger guys, the one that stands out for me is there's two things: is stuff you've done in Rumbles, your couple appearances in Rumbles, but also there was more of a storyline with Chavo and the cruiserweight belt.
Yep.
And it seems like Chavo would be the easiest person to work with because of that extensive knowledge he has.
Yeah, it was that was such a good time. It seemed like each week during that, we were involved with the guest host, which was incredible too. Just 'cause it was a spotlight moment each week. And he never barked at anything we were doing. He was always up for everything. So it was great.
Well, speaking of that, is there guys, obviously, like we said, you're with Impact currently. Well, what kind of deal are you there full time or what's that status?
Nope. I am a free agent everywhere I go.
Oh, dude, that is sweet compared to what you hear of.
Yeah.
The business.
Yeah.
Dude, you are in such a good spot from what I understand of it. That's awesome to hear. And I do know you probably have stories of this man recently. Everybody's been talking about is Brody Lee.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
What kind of interactions did you have with him?
I mean, not a whole lot, because they were coming in as I was kind of off TV for a bit and then finishing up. But the interactions I did have were always incredible. He was the man, and I'm just happy how well people are talking about him.
And you know, it's funny. I was thinking about it. Not that I had interactions with these guys too, but Brody, the story, and it's all been positive. People talking about it. Guys who worked with him behind the scenes, in front of the camera, everything. That it seems like the only one like that I can think of was Owen.
Yeah.
That nobody has a bad thing to say about it. It's not
Yep.
nothing but love and positivity of Brody.
That it really says something about a person when, you know, WWE guys worked with this guy for years upon years, and AEW people have worked with him for a few months, and they still all have such awesome things to say and such personal things to say about him. Really tells you a lot about the man.
Yeah, it definitely says something about the person.
Yeah.
But you've done a couple one-offs with WWE in recent years, like Saudi Arabia and the Greatest Rumble, and you know, are you open to a full-time return with them before all said and done?
Of course. Yeah. You'd be anyone would be dumb not to, I feel. It's the biggest wrestling company in the world.
Exactly. And obviously you talked about based on Ray's question with the anonymous GM and everything else, and different moments we brought up Chavo and such.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a particular match besides WLC that you go, wow, that was cool to do, or is it what you've already said?
The second thing is WrestleMania 23, just because that was my first ever Mania. It was with Kennedy, who trained me. It was awesome. It really ripped.
Yeah, there's some. I wish Kenny got, and he's done well. Don't get me wrong, from my perspective, but I would think for someone with that talent that he has and knowledge, that he would have gotten more credit. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah, he had a hell of a run.
Yeah.
There's look at all the guys that never won a world title. You know, Jake Roberts and all that. That I don't feel that's the mark of a star. I feel like your run and the effect you had on the business means more than anything.
Yeah. Well, and this is a question I recently heard Austin ask a couple people on his Broken Skull sessions on the network. Does the belt make the talent, or does the talent make the belt?
I think I think that's situation to situation. I don't think there's any one answer to that.
Makes sense. I can see that. But do you see your son, or has he ever approached you about wanting to train eventually?
He gets in the ring twice a week.
So
every week, just has fun, enjoys it and has fun and wants to learn. So you never know. I would never push him into it, but if it happened, it happened.
Oh, that's cool, because I know sometimes parents, especially of your industry, can be. I don't know. I don't think it'd be a good idea for you to join this profession because of the pitfalls and everything else.
I mean, he's going to go through school first and try that out, and that's what matters first. But if it happens, it happens.
Well, I know you have something to attend to, so
we're all good.
I have one more question for you, at least. Time wise.
Yeah, man.
And right before you come on, we were, like I said, we were talking with Jimmy Corderas.
Yeah.
About you coming on, and he didn't speak anything out of school, as far as. But as soon as I dropped your name, he's one of the biggest genuine smiles. He goes, like you saw there, traveling with Swoggle and just
Yeah.
town to town. And he goes, we had our share of fun together.
Yeah. He was actually like one of my first riding partners. It was me, him, Tony Chimmel, and Larry Hack, the head trainer. And that was, I mean, for over a year. It was the four of us in a car every weekend, and it was just a blast. We just had a blast.
Yeah, he said you guys would be back and forth ribbing each other, and just there was a lot of fun to be had between the two of you guys.
Did. Yeah, that it was a blast. I talk about them in the book and all that too. There's a couple stories there, but we had a lot of fun.
Is there anybody that you haven't interacted with that you would like to before all said and done?
No, I man, I've done so much that it's crazy how much I've been able to do, and it's incredible. It really is to me how much I've been blessed with in this career.
And I know you talk about in the book, again, I'm going to reference to, and folks go out and find it on Amazon and everything else, because I know we're on the Zoom call, but we also have folks watching on Facebook and a few different spots. So I'm speaking across the board. Go out and find Dylan's book, Amazon and all that fun stuff. It's definitely an interesting read.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm not saying it to kiss anybody's ass.
Nah.
I put up,
I appreciate
if
that.
it's something good, some of the folks that join us regularly know I have an extensive book library.
Awesome.
But yes, and yours is I got last year, obviously.
Yep.
But I always appreciate the stories as well of somebody. There we go. That you talk about your story with the bond of your father, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
But overall, what would you say was his response to what you've done with wrestling?
Oh, he's so proud of me each and every day. I think he's most proud of me because of how I am with my son. Wrestling is always number two, but just me in general, he's always been proud of me. He's been my number one fan for the longest time. He doesn't like wrestling, but he likes me wrestling. It's a weird thing, but he's always been at my side each and every step of my life, and he's the best.
Yeah, and like in the book, I always appreciate it reading about your relationship when you talk just not only the stuff career-wise, but the personal stuff and some of the stuff you had to deal with growing up and all.
Yeah, man, it's real life, and that's what we wanted it to be. Yeah,
but the thing that stood out for your relationship with your father, at least that you talk about in the book, was when you found out about your son coming.
Yeah,
and you kind of had a come to Jesus meet discussion with your father. I guess that's the best way to put it. He goes, "Okay, son, how are you going to handle things?" Because you may not have been.
He was very blunt about it. He goes, "All right, what are you going to do? I mean, what's your plan?"
Yeah,
and that's all it was. But I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that, so it meant a lot to me.
Yes, and do you think that has led to, because you were talking about being upfront and honest earlier with your son?
Yeah, no, I think he's molded me into the dad I am. Every decision I make with my son, I think like, all right, is this what dad would do, or is this how dad would handle it? And I call him. I call him literally once a week about something, and it's
hey, how would you handle this kind of deal?
Yeah, and it's he tells me, and he goes, might not be how you would, but that's how I would do it, and if it doesn't work, now you have to handle it a different way. So,
well, and I know you can testify to this, and most parents out there can. When your kids are born, there's not exactly a manual that comes with them, like if you bought a car or anything else, you know.
Exactly, they're all different. They're all unique, for sure.
But I know you got some stuff going on, so
I'm gonna head her, but I appreciate it. Thank you, man. Thank you guys all for donating to an awesome cause during these crazy times, and I appreciate it very much.
And if folks I want to ask before you go,
Yeah, man.
if folks want to find out about your promotion and all that
Yeah,
fun stuff, where can they?
ACW Wisconsin on Facebook, ACW Wisconsin on Twitter. Huge show coming up in April. Enormous event coming up in April. Otherwise, check out my book, Life is Short and So Am I, on Amazon, on Audible, on Kindle, everything.
Dylan, thank you so much and stay safe, brother.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
And for those who are in the room, since I didn't get a chance to do so, I am going to catch a little bit of a break because schedule-wise, we were going to talk to Maria from 3 to 3:30, but that got bumped. So actually, we can log off this link now, but come back in about 45 minutes to an hour. So see you guys then. Or feel free to stay on link. I'm